said before, it's not easy to look after refugees often, and I can see my parents are affected by a trauma in lots of different ways, and in some ways they've even passed it on to me after all these years. My dad's a chronic insomniac. They have a lot of, this is the generalisation, but some have a genuine distrust of the state for good reasons, right? And doesn't any state, not just the state that persecuted them. And obviously, as the tweeter points out, there's mental health issues and whatever else. But I'd go back and make these points. Firstly, arguably there's some connection about how their asylum claims are treated and what political context they come in and how they resettle in that country. So the Vietnamese arguably have less mental health issues because they were welcomed more into Australia. Secondly, I'd say that if you can stick with refugees, as I understand the research shows, that they give you a pretty good return. And not just in the economic sense, because as you said, entrepreneurial, they're looking to make their life better, so that's good in the economic sense. But in the patriotic sense, there's a huge, the vast majority of refugees become citizens. It's 90-something%.
Yes.
So once again, if you look in the longer term, those costs are significant. I've never doubted that. But there's a good side of it too. There's all those cliches about Einstein being a refugee and many others. And I've written some work about how their attuneness to persecution and their status as being the nerve ends of humanity, Frank Lowy and whatever else, and whoever else, can be very much connected to their extraordinary status, their extraordinary minds, their extraordinary endeavours, and their extraordinary commitment to their new societies. So that's both a heartfelt plea and an intellectual plea to say that I know it's difficult to take in refugees and that there's concerns about them that are genuine and that make sense, but it also makes sense to invest in them for the better of Australia.
Well, a question from me to close. If you could change one thing in the world, what would it be?
On this issue, I'd go back to mandatory detention. Not only wind it back as much as...
Go back to it?
I'd get rid of it. I'd go back to my suggestion that we get rid of it. At least tone it down in the sense that we're moving in that direction to not make it legal to have indefinite and inhumane mandatory detention. That seems, if you put that to almost any Australian, they'd say we shouldn't have that, and yet we do. And really, we should be looking at getting rid of it altogether. We're exceptionally bad as a country because of mandatory detention.
Well, it seems to me...